Welcome to PowerUp podcast, the podcast that seeks to empower and dismantle, giving us the power and confidence to question, deconstruct, rebuild, and expand in life. I'm your host, AmaRouge, voiceover and multidisciplinary artist, well-being advocate, food and book geek with over 14 years of movement-centered experience.
I am your host, Mesma, artist, choreographer, yogi and coach with a passion for alchemy, creativity, transformation and workplace wellness.
We recognise that we can't dismantle and empower or be empowered without first learning ourselves, diving deeper to unlearn the harmful, restrictive and unprogressive. It's an ongoing practice and journey for us all, which is why we created this podcast.
Our show features guests doing the work to enlighten, deconstruct and power up in their own magical ways.
We're going to be having conversations around the power of healing, transformation, well-being and creativity, and how they feed our personal and collective evolution, how they help us power up.
We have the amazing Valerie Ebuwa in the house. Valerie, woo, 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 woo. Valerie, you can't see us, but we're all doing a little dance right now. Valerie is a freelance dance artist, writer, activist, and all-around badass, and we cannot wait to hear some of her stories and journeys today. Welcome, Valerie.
Welcome, Val.
Thank you so much for having me.
So happy to have you. So happy. We were like, this whole theme that we are in at the moment is undoing and resistance. So we've been looking at how people in the world have been undoing and unlearning, and on a micro and a macro level, people have been unlearning and undoing who they've understood themselves to be. And with that, we both recognize that resistance can come up for that person, and then also externally they may face resistance. And when we were talking about who we wanted to sit down and chat to, you were one of the first people that came up in our minds, and we were just like, yes, we absolutely want to chat to Valerie and hear what she's got to say, see what she's been doing, how she's been unlearning, choosing to undo in the world by showing up as herself as well, share how we've been doing that. But mainly, it's not about us today. It's about Valerie. So, Valerie, we know that you've been creating this amazing project called ValUE. And probably a lot of listeners may have seen parts of this project or heard about it. But if they haven't, can you just share a little bit about what ValUE is, why you decided to create it? Yeah.
So ValUE is an interdisciplinary project consisting of portraits and a film, and it's a nude project. So, and the reason why I chose to do it was because I'd realised that the idea about the Black female body specifically historically has been misrepresented, stereotyped, so many different words, and I wanted to see if I could introduce a fresh perspective of Black female form.
Pap, pap, pap. Sorry. I mean, that was a restrained pap, pap, pap. What I really wanted to do was... And I was like, just bring that down a little bit. Pap, pap, pap.
Yes, Valerie.
Love it.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's absolutely fine. I realised the only way I could kind of do that, especially as it wasn't a project that I like sat down and thought about and wrote an Arts Council application for. Or it was really something that I'd been working in the industry for 5-6 years, and I suddenly, there was different experiences where I was like, okay, like the people I'm working with don't see me, or the people I'm working with don't understand me, or what is this tension? And I could only ask, I suppose, myself to do it. I am a Black woman, I'm a Black female, so I didn't want to make this big call out. I plan to do that in the future now that I've done this work on myself.
Amazing.
I just thought it has to start with me. Like I have to do it. And if I can do it, then I can empower other people to think of the same. Because also I didn't want these new references that I was creating or presenting to also be this new stereotype, because this is just my perspective and my body, and I'm the same as everyone else. So I would love in the future at some point to work in the same or similar way with other Black women. It started off as a tiny little seed, and slowly the ideas and the collaborators and the people just started, everything just started coming together. In November 2019, I'd had most of the project done. And then I had a contact at the V&A Museum, a wonderful curator of the theatre and performance department, and I sent her the bulk of the project, and she was like, "This is incredible. We need to program this."
Yes,
that's right.
And she was the only kind of external person outside of a really, really, really small group of trusted friends that I'd known, and because she loved it so much, I was like, okay, like great, I am actually onto something. It's not just something that's going on in my head. And then I was supposed to present in April 2020, but obviously COVID happened in March. The pandemic happened in March, so that kind of put a spanner in the works. But then I thought, fuck it, I don't need the V&A to present this project. I've been working so fucking hard on it, and people need to see it. So I just decided, because my general timeline was that I was going to spend 5 weeks before the event promoting it, like introducing people to the themes, the topics. I just stuck to it.
Amazing.
Wow.
I just stuck to it, but I just did it on Instagram. Like I released bits of the project, little snippets, little videos that I'd made over 5 weeks. And then, like the film, which is a dance film, I just released it on the day that I was
amazing.
it. So like I don't think that having the backing of an institution is always great. It's always brilliant, like, because it's that kind of I suppose validation that work is worthy. But the whole project is called ValUE, and funnily enough, my name is Valerie Ebuwa. So like if you take the Val in Valerie, the U in Uchechuku, and the E in ValUE.
Oh, I love it.
Brilliant.
So I thought to myself, if I'm really being myself and sticking to my name, and the essence of the project is about finding my own value, or finding the value of a Black female form and presenting it. And I can only do that really if I stay true to myself and just release the project. I don't need the validation of the institution to let me know the project is worth something.
Banging.
Yes, Valerie.
So so I decided to release it. But what I also found was the day that I was going to release it, that there was a sudden like tension and fear and resistance to releasing it. Like I was like, okay, like, I rang my brother, and my brother didn't know about the project, and I was like, hey, like, just to let you know, on Instagram tomorrow I'm going to be butt naked, like you're gonna have to expect that,
Yes, you're amazing.
And my brother was just like, whoa, shit, okay, like like, I think mainly because I was like, you're gonna have to, this is what's happening, like, you're not gonna convince me to do otherwise.
Yes.
I think if I'd given him the choice, he'd have been like, this is ridiculous, like, why? So like, just even having to like just warn my family that there's going to be some things that are going to be coming out that are probably going to make them feel uncomfortable,
And how did they
you know, and
respond to
then,
that? Were they kind of quite receptive, or were they like, what?
yeah,
What the
like, I
hell?
mean, I mean, I'm the youngest of five, so I think it's always going to be hard for them to accept that I'm not a
Yeah,
baby, and that I'm
absolutely.
not
That you're a grown up now.
um, but yeah, actually, especially my sister that's you know, so I'm number five, my sister that's number four, she was really great. Like I think I
Amazing.
was genuinely surprised at how, like, she was like, yeah, you know, go for it, like you've put so much time and effort into this, like, yeah, like. And then when she saw like all the images and the film, she was like, no, wow, this is great, like this is clever, like this is good.
Oh, wicked.
So and the same with my older sister as well, which I was really nervous about because there's like 12 years difference between me and her, so we're just not even in the same generation, you know. So I
Yeah.
just assumed that she would um kind of react weirdly, but actually she was like, wow, yeah, you're really right, you're touching on something that's not
Oh,
really been talked about, or you know. um
That's wicked.
so yeah, there was this like, just there was this sudden fear of like, okay, I'm gonna put it out on Instagram, and there's going to be so many people that don't know there's a side of me that's, you know, like, that really appreciates the naked body. Like, I just think of it as, even though it can't be, because, you know, bodies, any object is littered with history, you know, like there's, it's really hard to look at anything without placing
Like
your
meaning
like
on
prior
it,
knowledge
or
on it. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But like, for me, like, the naked body is the chance to kind of start again.
Mm,
You know, like, chance to kind of, you know, to really challenge people to understand what they're seeing, or to really look at, you know,
mm,
what,
mm,
rather than placing like automatically this label of, okay, she's a black woman, so she's gonna move like this, or her body will look like that,
mm-hmm.
or it will do, you know, like so yeah, like I find it really exciting. But yeah, there was this like sudden like fear of like, fuck, okay, like this is not just going to be in a museum and it's going to be taken down for a week. Like, this is this is out there,
Yeah,
on
and
your
I have to,
platforms.
on my platform, and I have to, you know, answer to it.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, so there was a sudden like, oh shit, like, okay, like, and then as I was posting day by day, it got easier. But like, I just remember like writing the post really quickly before I was about to post a picture, and then like pressing post, and then like chucking my phone away, and going on my balcony for an hour, like, just
Yeah.
to just to like not have to deal with it. Yeah. I'd go to my housemate and I'd be like, you know, can we have a beer, or like, you know, can we talk about something, or can we watch the OC? But it's just really interesting because, again, like, I think about, like, you know, the fact that I had to get naked to do this, and you know, there wasn't really like a tension or an insecurity for the doing of, for the performing of that.
Mm,
Yeah.
And the sharing, like, suddenly there was this like, yeah, resistance to share, or, and then in my head I was like, okay, what is that?
yeah.
Or is it because I'm still learning how to look at myself, I'm still learning how to love myself, I'm still learning
Mm,
how to stand in my truth, because it's my
Mm,
naked body. There's nothing else that's framing that, you know.
mhm,
There's no pose to tell something different, or to hide, or to, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, I didn't realize that actually the work being ValUE is really about me actually really challenging myself to really value myself, and to stand strong in who I am and the body that I've been given, you know. So it was really nice. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. There was a day where I had to ring my friend Hannah, and I cried because I was like, wow, I really thought I'd done all the work, and there's still more work to do, you
Yeah.
know.
mhm. The Battle of Evermore.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, like, I mean, it's almost exactly a year now that I started it.
Wow.
Actually, it is a year. Actually, I did the first post on the 1st of April,
Wow.
Wow,
and
that's really cool.
Yeah, super cool.
So what a nice little kind of roundup that we're here. Yeah.
It's wicked hearing you say that, Val, and it's awesome hearing you talk really honestly, and
Mm.
openly about like all sides of releasing value because, like you're saying, the project in its essence is one that is very but anyway, my experience receiving it as someone externally and as a black woman, for me, it's a really inspiring project. There's a defiance in it. There's a strength in it. There's a vulnerability in it. There's an openness in it. I was like gassed. I was like, this is completely inspiring. Like Valerie's, like exactly like you said, you're not hiding behind anything. It's your naked body. You're exploring and communicating concepts and ideas and statements about the female black body, and how it's been viewed and how it's been represented. And I hadn't seen anyone else do that. And like you said, it's on your
Mm.
platform. It's a space where everyone who follows you can see and engage with it. And there's nowhere for you to hide. And I was like, wow, that is so courageous and so inspiring. Um,
And also healing
yeah,
for
so
everyone, right? You're not.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in do it, I love the fact that you telling us about this now. It's for me, if what comes through really strongly is in doing the work to undo, to help, or not. I mean, the purpose is wasn't necessarily to help others, but in you are doing work which will inform other people's unlearning and
Mm.
undoing. And in doing so, you will also unlearning and undoing for yourself. And I just think that's so
Mm.
flipping beautiful because that wasn't necessarily your intention, but there is this double unlearning and undoing happening. Um, and I just think that's amazing. It's brilliant. It's really
Yeah.
inspiring.
also as well, like because we did it during the lockdown. Well, because I did it during the lockdown. Um, I was like, oh my god, when I see people again, what the fuck is gonna happen? Like, so I just felt like I was in this like little tiny bubble where I really had to sit with myself and I really had to, yeah, really look at myself and ask myself all the questions about like why I'm scared to be my authentic self. Like why am I scared to show people the body that I
Mm.
love? Like why am I scared to um, challenge why people perceive black women that
Mm.
way? Why am I scared to have the conversation about that? Why am I, and it was yeah, really, really scary. And also the sadness of like, the V&A would be the first platform for my independent work. Like I've never shown at Sadler's, I've never shown at the
Yeah,
place, I've never, so to receive that as my like first ever hit, I was just like, oh my god, wow, this is like yes, yes, yes. And then for it to be just cancelled, I was like, oh, what does this mean? Like, like,
yeah,
come on, universe, like, what is it that you're trying to tell me? And I was like, it's telling me that I need to just, I've been working on it for a year, like just in my spare time, like quietly, not telling anyone about it. Like, it needs to come out. It needs to come out. It needs to come out now.
And it's so inspiring that you did that, that like just that act, that is undoing and resistance right there. And it's hitting me really strongly as someone that, my first moment was with Sadler's Wells. And I can really imagine if they had then taken that away from me, how that must feel and what you might make up about what that means about you. But that you were like, actually, no, this project is way bigger than anything that any institution can tell me. And that you put that out there. That's so inspirational.
I'm actually really glad that what happened had happened because you can't buy that, you know.
Beautiful. And also it feels like there's this kind of, by doing that, by being unapologetic about who you are, it's like you changed your future, because there's a vulnerability in sharing your value that also, it kind of created ripples in terms of your future and what happened next for you, perhaps.
I mean, I have been professional now for 7 years. And yeah, like, I mean, like I said before, like doing the project came about from, I mean, from experiences that I had with different companies, with, um, yeah, just general, like looking around in like, art galleries and museums and not feeling like, people who looked like me were there or represented.
Mm,
Um, Looking at, the language people use for, black dancers and black bodies, and kind of trying to delve into that. The history of black women in beauty.
mm,
There's, so many things. And I found that, uh, yeah, after doing the project, I mean, just before I was finishing up ValUE, um, I had this really uh, shitty September. I don't know what happens, but September, October, November, like I am just in turmoil, like my brain, my
Mm,
body, everything.
mm.
My relationships, yeah, like it just always feels like there's some sort of massive reset.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it's the school thing. I don't know. That hasn't left me all this time. Um, so yeah, in 2019, as I was, finishing the project, yeah, just lots of horrible shit happened. I got sick. I had a fallout with a really close friend. I was finding that work was really, really, I mean, I couldn't work as much because I was sick, but also
Mm,
like I was finding that the people that I was working with and for was just, oh, like there was just no sense of understanding. There was no
mm.
communication. There was,
No sense maybe of feeling held.
yeah, exactly. It just didn't feel like, I mean, I'm refraining from saying safe space because a friend of mine was saying that he doesn't believe, a friend called Sylvan actually was saying that he doesn't believe in creating safe spaces, only brave spaces. And I think
Mm,
mm. That's lovely.
really, really, I mean, Sylvan's amazing human. Um, but I didn't even feel like there was a brave space for me to
mm,
be in, and to say how I felt. And by the time it got to November, I'd just got the news, the V&A, to say that the project was going to be taken on. So that was like, okay, yes, like fresh something. And then I
mm,
got this email from Thierry Smits, who's the choreographer of company Thor in Brussels, and he asked me to turn up to an audition, and I was just like, okay, like, yeah, okay, like maybe I'll try this thing. Like maybe I should just move to Brussels because I mean, uh, I don't know if you know this, Amma. I mean, me and Amma went to college together, but I really wanted to go to Parts in Brussels, which is
yeah, no, I didn't know that, but I know of parts.
yeah, I really badly wanted to go, but they audition every other year, and the year that I was auditioning was the year that they weren't auditioning, and it also happened to be the last year of the like 3 grand
Oh
per year
yeah.
free. So my mum in particular was really like, if you don't go to uni now, like, it's not like don't do this 9 grand stuff. Go now, like go now. So then I got into London Contemporary, and that's where I really, out of the schools in the UK, that's where I really wanted to go. So I went there. So it's really funny when I got that message from Thierry being like, "Hey, come to
Mm,
Brussels," because I was like, "Wow, this is like almost 10 years since I've said I wanted to go, and now this opportunity popped up."
That's so beautiful.
I love when the universe does stuff like this.
Love it, and I was so just fed up with like, yeah, I was
Mm,
really fed up with the scene in London, if I'm really honest, just because of, yeah, again, the way that
yeah.
they value dancers, the way that they, I mean, because if you think about it again, like equity minimum like if you've been dancing for 7
Yeah.
years, to me that means
Yeah.
nothing. Like, you know, doing any other,
Yeah.
you would
Right.
get a pay rise, you know, you some sort of, you know, and
Yeah.
to be on the same pay for across however many years, I literally think dance is the only.
And it is like you come out of a job and then you're nothing again until you get the next job. You know, you don't, there's, yes, okay, you've got something on your CV that says you've done this thing, but you're back at square one, aren't you? You've got to do the audition. You've got to, so yeah.
So yeah, like I went to the audition, I got the job, and yeah, I moved to Brussels, and it was the day that the day after I'd finished the audition, I'd come back to London, was a day of the general election, and yeah, and then so obviously we found out that, you know, Boris had won, and you know, happening. So it really felt like, yeah, it really felt like the universe was like, get the fuck out. Like, just get out. Like, you know, like, this choreographer's found you, you've got the job, it's somewhere else, you come back, and, you know, Brexit's actually
Yeah.
happening. Like, no, go now. Um, so
Well done.
we were supposed to start in August, but obviously COVID meant that we started um, end of September, beginning of October. Um, so yeah, I moved.
How are you finding being you in a new space?
In terms of, again, talking about value, and I'm doing this notion of that I can stay on 525 a week, and that's okay in the 7 years that I've been dancing. Um, the quality of life in Brussels is just incredible. Like, I have a salary, I have an accommodation allowance,
Yes.
I have savings.
Amazing. And it's like this should be baseline. This is
Yeah.
foundational, basic.
Basic, basic, the most basic. And because Thierry owns the studio that we're in, we've been working during COVID, you know, so to be able to have
Mm,
access to a studio is just incredible. And he's a lovely person anyway. So if I want to use the studio over the weekend, he'll give me the keys. Like, oh, you know, like I've never had
Amazing.
that. I've just never had access to a studio for free to be able to
Yeah.
make and
yeah.
do and think or just play. You know, um, there's that. The people and the artists I'm here connecting with are wonderful. They're amazing. And also, again, like, you know, I've lived in London my entire life. And I think because I lived in London and I studied in London, and, you know, I know how to navigate in London, the idea of me as an artist, as a person, all these things is uh, almost kind of
Yeah.
set. You know, like, people have an idea of me because they've known me for a while. I have an idea about myself because I've
Mm,
been in the same place for a while. And so what was really nice about moving to Brussels was I was like, okay, like, in London currently I'm this person that like shouts, you know, shouts a lot about, you know, changing shit, and you know, and
yeah.
tries to like be the change through doing my own work, and then being in other people's work and just being visible, you know. I really try to, you know, be in everything and have my fingers in all the pies, you know. I really try that.
Mm.
Whereas this is it. Whereas in Brussels, actually, you know, I'm not French. I don't speak French. I don't speak Flemish. I don't speak Dutch. You know, so all the main languages that are there, like, I don't have access. Well, you know, currently my communication level is poor, right? So I can't
Yeah.
necessarily shout as loud, and I also
Mm,
don't know if I even want to. You know, like, to be honest, because
Mm.
it's a lot energy wise. And but what I've loved is I can go there, and I thought to myself, oh, I can reinvent myself. Like, I don't have to be. No one here knows me. I
yeah.
don't have to be the Valerie that I am in London.
Yeah.
Like, so actually, how do I want it? Like, who is this person? Like, who is she? You
Mm.
know, how can I? Yeah, how can I reinvent myself so that my experience here is better? and
Yeah.
and actually it, you know, it's really nice because I've met loads of different amazing, particularly Black and queer activists in Brussels, and I feel like my job is to just support, like, to uplift, to reshare, repost, to, turn up to events, to give money, to,
Mm.
like, to spread
Mm.
awareness, to, have conversations with them,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
educate myself, and, you know, I just feel like it's so nice, that shift, like, it's so nice to have, yeah, that kind of clean slate.
Beautiful.
And yeah, the negative, I guess, is that, like, I'm always really optimistic. I think a bit too optimistic about uh just moving anywhere and being in the body that I am, like, I think
Mm.
it's really um yeah, too optimistic to be a Black woman in this world and move anywhere and not think or feel like um the systems of oppression or just oppression in general, like, that you
Mm.
won't be a victim of that. Like, I think it's yeah, it's
Mm.
it's it's very optimistic. So there's, of course, always going to be that kind of in the back of my
Mm.
my head. And obviously I say obviously, I've had a few experiences in Brussels where I'm like, oh yeah,
Mm.
it's really real here too. Like,
Yeah.
but that comes with the identity that I have. That's just what comes with it. So um yeah, like, that's negative, but I also feel like, again, because I get to reinvent myself, the way I approach it and challenge it is, again, different. Like,
Mm.
way more blunt and short, and, like, no, that's not what's going to happen. Because in London, I suppose people know me as, like, very nice, and,
Yeah.
she's really fun, and she wants to help everyone, and those things are true. Like, I can, yeah, as Black women, we're just shoved into these boxes or these compartments, and we're not allowed to be multifaceted. And I just really love the fact that in Brussels, I feel like I'm able to show different sides of me.
Yes.
No one knows who the fuck I am, so it's great.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really, really great.
I think that's amazing that, you're getting to fully embody all of you on your terms. And there's something you said actually when we were chatting about um, identity, about your identity and resistance, and I flipping loved it. And I just want everyone to hear it because personally, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to your statement.
Resistance is my identity. It's a part of it, like, whether I like it or not. Like, as far as I'm aware, there's no one alive that has, predated colonialism or slavery or any of the kind of, or patriarchy or any of the kind of systems that, we know and we live in today. And since no one has existed or predated those things, it's really, I would say, maybe unintelligent to believe that these things, aren't present in our reality and don't have in our reality. And, if racism, if it's in its essence, if it's about the erasure of
Mm.
anything or anyone that's not white or doesn't subscribe to whiteness, then my existence in
Mm.
itself is a resistance, and
Mm.
then me thriving, because I there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I'm surviving, but actually no, like, I get to do what I love every day. You know, I,
Yeah.
that's thriving. That's thriving. So, and that thriving
Yes.
is a resistance. Like, being a woman in a
Mm.
patriarchal society and standing, I mean, just being a woman in a
Yeah.
patriarchal society is resistance. So
Yeah.
I think resistance is a part of my identity, whether I like it or not. And then on top of that, like being in the contemporary dance world, like we know that, or maybe we don't know, but like contemporary dance was born out of resistance. It was born out of, Isadora Duncan throwing off her ballet shoes because she didn't want to subscribe to, the costume, the technique, the physicality that ballet brought. Martha Graham the same. And then Merce Cunningham came along and resisted and rejected Graham and came up with his own thing. So this whole, and the word contemporary means new. So it's in itself is supposed to be an act of resistance. It's supposed to be an act of undoing, unlearning, figuring out something else. So I think it's no surprise that actually my career is within that, because it's also an intrinsic part of who I am. So yeah, but it's only taken me 30 years to to pull that all together.
It's a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a journey. And we say this at the beginning of the podcast in the intro, it is an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
Like this unlearning, this diving deep, doing the work, connecting realizations, having revelations, understanding our true essence. It is a continuous journey. And so it takes as long as it takes, right?
Yes.
And the revelations will continue to come, and the expansion will continue, and the growth will continue, and the thriving will continue, and moving closer to our truths will continue. And it's about totally just allowing the process, isn't it? But then also celebrating the wins when they happen. Like you're saying, 30 years, boom, but I'm here. But I've had, I've reached this place of understanding.
And also the healing that you are doing, that others are learning as they see you being authentically yourself. Others are going, I want to do that too. I want to be more me. So, that's such a gift. And going back to those brave spaces, it feels like you're really creating brave spaces in who you are as a human being, and giving other people permission to be braver. So thank you for being you.
Thank you so much, Val.
Thank you.
In the show notes, you will find all the information to connect. I'm sure many of you would like to see the ValUE project and many more things that Valerie is doing. So thank you so much. And if there's anyone out there who wants to program an exhibition, you know what to do.
And that is it. We are officially at the end of season 1 of PowerUp Podcast. Thank you for hanging with us, beauties. Go back and have a listen to anything you've missed. We're taking a short season break so we can refresh and rest. We will be back with an amazing lineup of guests for season 2. We cannot wait. You guys are in for a serious treat. Let's continue evolving together every Sunday. See you soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening. You can connect to us and our guests via the links in each episode's show notes. Before you go, we invite you to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the goodness to come. And if you enjoyed today, perhaps tell a friend to tell a friend. We are always grateful for you, our listeners, for our fabulous guests, and to everyone who has contributed to and been a part of our journey here.
Our music is by Tomo Carter. Everything else is brought to you by us, the PowerUp Power Team.
I'm Mesma.
I am AmaRouge.
And we are PowerUp
Podcast.